Welcome to the Magma Classroom. This particular classroom series focuses on the basics of digital painting, starting with the fundamentals of value, shapes, light, and color. We've done a good few apples and spheres already in previous lessons, tried our hands at some more interesting still life studies, broken down simple landscapes, and even run a gauntlet of timed exercises to speed up the learning process. This weekly hangout is intended for the determined beginner, and we'll take our time to explore each subject and learn together. I'm your host Ryan, the resident painter and caffeinated Wookiee at Magma, and while I grab a tea refill here, you can find all the instructions for joining me on the canvas in the description below. Ready your drawing tablet? We'll be getting started shortly. Hello. Welcome to the classroom, yet again. First one for the week, I'm Ryan. And good morning, DPO, thanks for joining. I see we have Adina here as well. For anyone joining, watching the stream, you are, of course, welcome to join us on the canvas. We have a bunch of canvases set up. The idea here is to sharpen our skills. Whether you're a beginner, more experienced, doesn't really matter. If you are a beginner, I will try to explain a bit of my process as we go along, so hopefully that can help you learn. And for those who are more experienced, well, this is an opportunity to hang out, try to paint something that maybe you haven't before, which in my case, clouds are not something I have very much experience with, so this is going to be interesting. And yeah, but first, I do just want to quickly show a little bit of what happened last time. We had a nice turnout, nice handful of people joining us. We painted this skull resting on a set of books. And yeah, I got some really nice and varied results from this. I was very impressed. Obviously, there was some people came in a little late, so time was a bit limited. We like to keep this down to just 1 hour, but of course, you are welcome to stick around longer. Some subjects do kind of demand a little time if you want to get it to a place that you're happy with. But the idea here is not perfect paintings. They're there to study and, you know, go through the process and then stop at a point where you can look back and kind of give yourself some feedback, see where you could have done things a bit better. Maybe you could have made certain decisions, smarter decisions earlier on, which you only learn by going through it. And if you have a time limit, at least, then it forces you to stop and rethink. So today we're doing clouds. And clouds are quite interesting, similar to rocks, and they can have quite a varied look about them. If no one really knows, they can kind of look like anything, but there are some fundamental things to kind of keep in mind. One of which is your light source. This is always going to be a key thing, where the sun is in the sky relative to the clouds, because we are going to see light passing through. We're going to see shadows on the clouds. Often there's shadow, towards the bottom because our light source is higher up. Sometimes we get these really nice shapes where come on, scroll down. There we go. You have it looks like quite a super flat, almost like perfectly flat bottom, which is quite something to see in real life. I haven't seen it on many occasions, but when you do, it's really noticeable. Where it's just like sitting at some particular layer in the atmosphere, and that's where everything stops, and you have this flat shape going up. So one of the key things with that is, let's make a new layer for myself here. Respond, please respond. There we go. I haven't put any music on yet because I was trying to sort out some new music. It's been in demand that we have something something new, but my converter is running pretty slow. Anyway, so I'll deal with that in a moment. But one of the things to keep in mind with clouds, certain clouds, most clouds, is going to be perspective. So, oh, this brush is ginormous. Let's go down a bit. Different one. Oh, my system is not so good today. So here we have this. Whoa. I'll try and make a straight line today. Whether or not I succeed is, let's just straight line it here. Big, but we have that very clear bottom, right? But we can also see a bit of what's underneath. So there's a bit of a, maybe you could even go with like a 1-point perspective here. It's not super high, but there is enough there to, whoa, what is with this system? Let's see. Maybe we can unplug my tablet. See if in wireless mode it behaves a little more smoothly. Yeah, it's probably just because of my converter. It's all online. But you want to pay attention to where the cloud is in the sky compared with your horizon line. So here, I mean, our horizon is fairly low. So we're going to see a little bit of that. We're going to see a little bit of the underside of that cloud. Okay. Oh, I would like it if my lines appeared. Come on now. There we go. So let's say, make this even smaller. This cable is driving me mental. Wireless tablets are the way. I will say that. The fewer cables you can have on your desk, the better. Okay. So let's zoom in a bit here. Make it smaller. Just a very brief recap. If you are new to perspective, if you're looking at something like 1-point perspective here, let's make this black. Let's say we're working with a cube. Basic understanding. If things are like right in front of you, in front of your face. Okay, if we're going to have let me just use the tools here. That's what we have digital things for. So if we place a cube around our horizon line there and our vanishing point straight in the middle, but this is perfectly in front of us, right? Like all we can see is that front face, this. But if that box was open, we'd be able to see the other side of it, right? So let's go back to our box tool here. We'd be able to see the back, which would be another perfect square. Okay, I've placed things a little funny here, but let's just say it's perfectly in line. But this line, to connect those two, the direction of that line is going to move all the way to pass through that vanishing point. Yeah, if I can draw a straight line. I haven't warmed up today, as is evident. Right, so now we get, so this is like a 1-point perspective thing. But if we now were to shift that up, if we were to, let's do our horizon line again. Got a vanishing point there, still in 1-point perspective. If we were to raise our box, it doesn't really matter if it's off to the side or whatever, so long as it's perpendicular to the direction that you're facing. But let's go here. Let's make another box. I might even want to shift this over. Let's just move it there. Okay. Now, this is sitting above the horizon line, so we're slightly looking up at it. Okay, this this point here is, it's going to be a little lower probably, but this is like directly ahead of us. The box is a bit higher, so we kind of have to look up at it. If we were to set the underside of that box, we'd run lines from the corners of it through that vanishing point, and then depending on the depth of that box, we'd have the back of it just somewhere there or whatever. That's just an arbitrary placement. And this would be in shadow, depending on the light source. If the light source is coming from below, different story, but then we have a cube in 1-point perspective, but raised above eye level. Okay, so we can get rid of that. Something to keep in mind, because if we look at, like I said, when we look here, we can see a little bit of the underside of this cloud. Well, you could argue whether or not that's the underside or just a, no, that's the underside, so dark shadow. So we're going to start with this, and as we always do, we break things down into shapes. Let's see if I can get my media file here, some music. Oh, I won't download now, thank you. Nine, show me ads. Okay, so I'll pick another just color here. Oh, some delay. Okay, so we've got, let's just draw a roughly straight sort of line here. We've got the underside, we can kind of see, and then we have, I'm simplifying everything. Remember, our thing is to always simplify our shapes first, and then we have this arch over here. The sun, we can tell by our shadows here. Our shadows are on this side, and if we look down at our mountain as well, okay, we've got our light hitting the top, but as soon as it comes around, we get into the shadow area. So the sun isn't quite directly up in the sky, but it is sort of over here, casting in this direction. So this side of the cloud is going to be a bit in shadow. So pretty simple shape. You could even go with something that's almost like a slightly squished half circle, or maybe a half egg sliced down, and then we got like a similar repeating thing over here. And we'll add in definition to all those things a little later. But yeah, so we can start off. This one is a little tricky. Maybe the building is part of what's throwing me off. But I went to take a stroll to the park this morning. Not this morning, this was about an hour and a half ago. And this cloud was out there in the sky. And it's difficult to tell whether this is going up or whether it's coming round towards me from the distance. It's probably a bit of both. But here we still got some quite distinct shapes that we can work with. Sun, as we can see here, we can see almost like a little bit of glare coming in. It's coming from this direction. So things on this side are getting a bit of shadow. But we can simplify this whole shape. It's going off into the distance. If you're thinking about a bit of perspective, looks like it's kind of curving around off into the distance there. Yeah, but a simple 3 shape. And then this cloud is actually a little bit forward. And then you have these little puffs. So the other thing with clouds is that often you do get those, what are they, more like cumulus clouds, I think. Often there's very clearly defined, explosive shapes, very hard edge. But most of the time, there's going to be a combination of this sort of hard edge, but then this sort of wispiness that goes off to the side. At least in terms of like your values, the value can get quite similar to the background around it on the shadow side. But it tends to be a bit of a mixture of these softer edges and much harder, crisp edges. So that's something to look at when you're doing your study, what the edges are doing. So I don't know if you want to spend a full hour on one of these or on both of them, but we can maybe start with this one here. Maybe I can, because overall we got a nice simple shape. Did I get my music? Let's see if I can upload this music quickly. Get some nice tunes in our ears. If you are tuning in, I think I got sidetracked there, and you want to join on the canvas, we have we have all the information in the stream description. There we go. That's what I wanted to say. Now the question is, did this music go down small enough? No, it's not small enough. Okay, so we'll just go with some ambient piano here. Safe bet. What's this? Atmospheric Explorer. Okay. And then we can start painting. Righty-ho. Fetch me a nice brush. And the first thing I want is a bit of a light. As always, we try not to color pick directly from our reference. Always try and find it on the color wheel and work relative to other things. So let's go here. This is like a pale blue. So light, desaturated, maybe a little bit more towards turquoise. Oh, let's go with that. Let's see what happens. Can work. That's probably like a little bit more blue in it. Anyway, okay. Let's close this thing, seeing this didn't work. Find a brush. I'm just going to stick with a simple round brush, nothing fancy. So that reference is a little bit small. But that's fine. I just want to get a sense of things. I don't need to be zoom in a little bit. I don't want to get caught up in details. I want to stay zoomed out anyway. I'll use a pixel pencil. We got this green in the background. It's a bit of a yellow green. A bit more yellow than that, I would say. Something. Oh. Something there, maybe. Where's this point? It's not quite halfway. It's about here. Hope everyone's week is off to a good start so far. No calamities. No waking up to an empty bag of coffee. Okay, that angle's a little extreme. It's a little bit. Yeah. That's not the focus of this. Blue. Some warm lights, cool shadows. Shift a little bit, maybe into the blues. And desaturate. It's not where I'm going to spend much time. It's just to place things. Now the top of the sky. Let's see. We've got this shadow mountain. Value could be a little higher. Just doing basic shapes for now. We'll go a little warmer. Whoa! What has happened? Why did I get kicked out of that drawing? That's weird. How strange. How very, very strange. Here's my image. Cool. It needs to be big. I want a soft edge. I'm going to do my cloud on a separate layer once I get there. This is just to get something down. And maybe let's sketch out a little bit first. Got a nice small brush. Where does this sit? Here. So if you want something to help you with perspective, and yeah, we do have something to assist with that in Magma, which you'll find under our custom shapes. If we go here, let's see, we've got grids, right? We've got a 1 point perspective grid. You could even, yeah, this one's like a fully defined thing. That placement's not quite right, so I'll have to move it down. Let's plug that there. Shift T. That's what I was trying to do. could lay something like this over, use it as a bit of a guide. Make it even drop the opacity there. It doesn't need to be so light. So that if we're looking at the bottom of, we know we can see a bit of the bottom of the cloud. We have a little something that we can follow if we want to. This would come over quite a bit more. And so we just know that the directions of the line, we have a vanishing point in there, so we can work just towards that. It doesn't have to fit within these specific outlines, but they're there at particular points just to guide you along. This would probably even be in a bit more. This goes back a little bit. Okay, minor details. And then our cloud goes, roughly speaking, up and over, down to the point, and then we have this trail of softer cloud. And then we have sort of back end of it. It comes around like that, and then up. Something sort of like that. Dun, 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 dun. And then we've got a section in front as well. This bit over here, which comes out far enough in that we're not seeing any shadow from this section casting onto it. It's still quite in the light. So it's a little bit forward. Just get a rough shape in. Lag. Why am I lagging? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we can work with that. I'll get rid of this grid. And something that's bugging me now is actually the line of this. Minor little things as you go along, it starts to bug you. So this is, of course, I did it on the wrong layer. Last one wrong. Let's drop. I'm going to put a layer underneath that sketch layer just to more easily place things. And when it comes to finding a color, I'm not going to go immediately to. I'm not going to go straight to white. Okay, it's easy to think like, clouds are puffy white. I'm just going to put white down. It's not quite so simple. If we look here, we move around. Let's go back into our lights. You can see it never goes fully into white. It's got a bit of like a warm off-white to it. Yeah, well, there it started getting quite bright. So there will be some patches where maybe it gets close, and then when we go into our shadows, what we notice here. So this is probably like midday. There's a lot of light, a lot of bounce light around, a lot of atmospheric light, but a lot of light passing through the clouds, and the values here don't go super dark. This is kind of like a mid-range value. It's something to always like look out for. Like here, even we've got a clear shadow, but the value isn't super far down. It's not a big jump to even a solid like mid value, but certainly doesn't go dark. And it's something you just need to observe when you're doing your studies, is like how much of a value shift is there really. Often it's relationships with other colors and values that make it look a lot stronger than it is. You do of course get like really dark patches in clouds, but it depends on the lighting situation. So yeah, in this sort of scenario, things start to blend a little bit with the background. So that sort of blue bounces into our shadows. Okay, so let me shut up and start doing some painting, because I've been talking for a long time, and we're looking now for a warmerish, not sort of warm. I just want to go to that direction, but it's still quite like a off-white. Go bigger here. Now I just want to get the basic shape in, and I'll carve away at it afterwards. I just want to get that volume in to start. When it comes to getting softer edges, it's really just lowering your density and opacity. If you don't have pressure sensitivity, then you want to go down quite a bit there. But if you do have a pressure sensitive pen, then you can have this setting over here checked, and that'll mean that the lighter you press, each stamp of the brush will be just a little bit more transparent. So let's have a look here. I want to go towards blues for our shadow. A little closer to the sky. There we go. That almost seems a bit too intense, but is quite sharp. Let's come up a little bit. And of course, there's the shadow on the underside. I've exaggerated a little bit of what we can see underneath. And notice how, like here, those value shifts are even smaller, with the clouds being thinner, more light passing through them. These denser clouds, obviously, it takes a little bit more light to get through to the end there. So our shadows are a bit deeper. This could be, yeah, maybe. Just want this to be rough. Okay, one thing here. Just trying to capture a little bit of other little details here. A lot of atmosphere, making those mountains in the background look quite faint. And the value still being quite high. You know they're mountains, you know they're a darker shape, but they're not that much darker than everything else. This could even be slightly lighter. Okay, now I can start playing around with details. I'm going to merge my sketch layer down. Oh, now comes the fun part. Now we can get stuck into things. So where do I want to start here? We've got this sort of back end. We can maybe refine our shapes a bit first. And we don't have to worry about soft edges yet. Well, you can. I don't think it matters too much. You can. But we can always start off with hard shapes and come back. We can come to softening those out later. This goes up quite high. But this is definitely a subject that, like with the other ones, you can spend quite a bit of time here trying to get all sorts of nice, subtle changes in the light. And there's subtle details. Because there's, you're going to have, let's see if we can even see some here, maybe. A little tricky, but perhaps slightly, don't really notice it here. But what you might also notice sometimes is light comes, well, let's get a better, done a reflected light exercise before, right? The light comes over, bounces and reflects off of something in all different directions, and sometimes bounces back into the shadows. Something to look for. The same with the environment on the ground. if your clouds are quite low maybe, or yeah, you can sometimes have a bit of that color, like a bit of that green perhaps, coming into the bottom of the clouds. Not a lot, it'll be the subtlest of details, but it can affect a bit of the color. And that you might want to accentuate as the artist is with your perception of the environment. May not be an obvious visible thing, but to enhance things a bit, exaggerate, yeah, you could bring in a bit of that environment, that reflected light in the environment. Now I am yapping. I'm going to have nothing to show for my time. Rah! I wasn't planning on this being a bit of a lecture. Is this good? Yes, it is. Pixel pencil, rather. And where else do we have some shadow in there? Shape as it comes down. So we could definitely go a little bit lighter, it seems. Like here. Check my values. We can go a little darker on the underside. Here, yeah, you can see there's that gradual shift in value, but it's so subtle. And it's definitely not like the shadow underneath. Okay, that's much, much darker. So let's go with a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Just get a little bit of that darkness in there. Okay, and a bit of dark in here. It certainly looks darker. Put in there. Don't know if that color's right, what I've got there. I feel like it's a bit more towards a violet-y color. That's too strong. Let's go softer. There we go. Better. Piece in the top there. This is gradual shifting here. I've got this shape here. Let's go slightly lighter for the tops. But most of what I need to add here actually is lower values. Getting a little darker. Like I said, this is not a subject I have tackled much, so it's quite interesting to take a bash at this. And that's what I'm hoping this will be for a lot of people, even the experienced among you, that, you know, sometimes we tackle things that are just a little out of comfort zone. Bit of a wispy edge there. It's almost a more defined triangle. We can come back in with the shadow. Soft there. Let's get rid of these lines. You are, of course, welcome to ask questions as we go along. If you have any about any other tools with Magma, or if you're struggling with something, you can just pop a note. We've got a chat on the canvas, or we've got our chat in the stream, which I am glancing over from time to time just to check a lighter value. Oh, dark. No, it's too dark. Let's have a little thumbnail look at what's going on over here. So the Monday classroom stream. The idea is that this is more for our users in Europe and Southeast Asia, maybe even Australia. I'm not sure what the time is there now. Whereas the Wednesday and Thursday ones are better suited to like earlier in. Yeah, hey Arbral, I didn't notice you were here. Yeah, the Wednesdays and Thursdays, those are better suited to like earlier in the day for our American users. So yeah, just trying to offer like some different time slots. This is nice for me to be able to paint while the sun is out, or work while the sun is out. It's fun, but it's also work. Here I could probably go a little bit more saturated and okay, then so this moves over. To get a bit of this transition of things. Yes, I'm going to start softening my brush. I'm just using the square brush, nothing weird and fancy. And I'm manually changing the size as I would with a paintbrush. Rather than having the pressure set to change the size. I'd rather have my pressure adjust the density or the flow. A bit of shadow here. It is now raining. So this cloud that I took, this photo I took earlier, turning around 180 degrees, there were some stormy or some rain clouds gathering in the distance. So it looked like a nice day, just some wispy clouds. Oh, no. Rain was coming. Let's see what's going on with my values here. So what I'm noticing now, let's see if I can fix a little bit of this stuff up in the time we have. My ground is not a low enough value. So I'm trying to just adjust that. Could even be a bit darker than that, maybe. I'll sort out the color afterwards. It's just to make sure I get the value right. This is that rain that you can really smell. Lovely. So Eyebrow has also suggested that we do some shiny balloons in one of our study sessions, which I think is should be a nice challenging one. Quite a different material. Quite keen for that. So either we'll do that on Thursday, or we'll do an octopus. That was the other suggested thing. Should be quite fun to try and simplify the shapes of octopus tentacles. Forcing me to paint all these things that I've never painted before, which is good. I need it. Gotta have those challenges. Well, you're the one making suggestions. Other people are obviously welcome to make suggestions. Topics to cover. Now, definitely what I like about this is that I am being forced to take on subjects that, I mean, I don't know how to really guide anyone on how to paint them, because they're all so new for me. But again, it's always just come back to the fundamentals. Look at our shapes, let's look at our values. If we work from that. Did we suggest food during the classroom? I know food came up more than once during the clubhouse stream, which is the more fun side of things. But yeah, we can. I'll try to find some nice food we can study as well beyond the apples that we've done so far. If I think of studying food in the classroom, it's generally as a something towards the classical still life. More fun. This is fun, but I mean the clubhouse. Man, the clubhouse is more fun. Only by the tiniest fraction. Staring at clouds, less fun. But we could build on this. I saw someone post something on somewhere on Instagram. It was a character design thing of a cloud tribe creature thing. It had a cloud as a head, but it was this whole design around a cloud character, which I thought could also be fun. It's like, okay, well, we'll be painting this in the classroom, right? We could totally build on this, design some characters. Having done a study of the material, we can shift things over into designing a character with it. Why not? Or maybe that's where Udi's workshop would come in, following a bit of his character design principles. Here, we've got some more subtle changes. Let's deal with these subtle changes. And we're going to not so subtly change the music. Yeah, character design is cool. It's something I definitely want to work on. Characters and props. Skills. Lots of skills I'm lacking, actually, areas I want to improve. I am from South Africa, but I am currently residing in Georgia, Tbilisi, the country of Georgia. Good wine country. Been here for a couple of months now. We actually arrived last year, but yeah, things got interesting in this part of the world, and so we decided to go and travel around a bit. Spent some time in India. It's my wife's first time there, and then went to we went to Southeast Asia, back to Malaysia, which we absolutely loved. Second time there, went to Thailand, went to Cambodia, and I'm sure there was somewhere else. We went to Bali, and now we're back in Georgia. In time for a rainy wine festival a couple of weekends ago. Yeah, DPO, you said you were in Austin? You were in Texas. I think I remember that. Oh, this is some tricky stuff. This is some tricky stuff, this cloud. It comes forward a little bit over. 3 hours west of Dallas. Brownwood. Okay. Not an area I am familiar with. Maybe one of these years, I'll be able to get over to the States and attend Lightbox. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Paint live in person with everybody. So this sky needs to be a bit darker too. So I'm starting to feel the shape of the thing. So let's get a little bit more violetish. That direction. Drop down the value a bit more. Brush bigger. Oh dear. How? Why do we have so little time left? Okay, this color's a bit better. Bruh. Ooh, I did. Yes, nice work. Nice work on that. I still have Discord open here. I saw it at a glance. This is too. That's why I need to soften the brush. Okay. That'll do. That'll do. Bouncing here. Let's get some hard edge in. This looks like it could be a harder edge up top there. Yes. I suppose at some point you've got to zoom in and start getting some proper details. At some point. So let's do this. That little bump there. Yeah, and DPO, we will try and get a daily stream going. I like the idea of getting on here and streaming every day, just do like random topics and studies and fun things as well. Which I think we will be able to do soon. There's just some like prep work stuff going on in the background, things we're developing. And yeah, time zone is always the thing. So maybe we need to get some other folks involved on the streaming side. Even doing something like this where it's a study and I don't talk so much. Maybe that's a good idea. Just so that I can also get into the drawing more. We got a little lighter here. Not quite full white, but just a teeny bit brighter. My goals this week, I'm going to try to get our next few streams all prepped up, because normally it just happens a day or two before. But I want to prep some banners. We've got that big Saturday clubhouse planned, our Spider-Verse one. We'll do some Spider-Verse fan art, which I'm super keen for. And see what our next few subjects are going to be for the classroom. I spent a long time scrolling around. Whoa, what happened to my camera there? That's weird. Scrolling around on Pexels and Unsplash, Pinterest, just trying to find the perfect reference photos for our classroom sessions. Like here with this one, I definitely wanted to find something that had just a bit of that underside where we could talk a bit about the perspective. Because this comes way more into play when, let's do it on a separate layer. So this cloud is sort of running perpendicular to us in the direction that we're facing. At least visually it looks like that. But obviously we get clouds where we're looking this way, but we have clouds that sort of come towards us. Okay, that's a bit hectic. But follow a sort of perspective as well, that come over us and into the distance. As then perspective is definitely something that we need to be paying attention to. And when there's clouds that have these particular like, how to describe them, these wispy sort of flows in the direction that the air is moving with the wind in the atmosphere, then that has to follow that perspective as well. That's something to consider. So I missed there was a comment there. Yeah, definitely. That's with the classroom, at least. I try and leave the. I do try and encourage people to jump in at any time. They don't have to be a part of the stream. They can always re-watch and draw along on their own canvas. The clubhouse. The clubhouse is fun because we're all there together. So maybe with that, we could almost have. We have the main stream. Everyone, or all those people who can, like, attend that, and then we have some selected hours where it might not be there might not be a stream happening, but where people are like, okay, cool, no, well at 2 p.m. a bunch of people are going to like jump on that canvas, or like if you want to work on that canvas, that's the time to do it. We have these allocated time slots so that you're not there on your own. That could be cool. Oh, cheers, Eyebrow. Go get some rest. Get some rest. These late nights, I'm sure, catching up on you. Gone are the days where I could get very little sleep and just be fine and fresh the next day. Alrighty, we have 5 minutes of the stream left. I certainly don't feel good about what I've accomplished here. So maybe I'll stick around a little longer, keep at it. I won't talk too much though. Actually could, yeah. Some of these hard edges, little bumps in here. Let's bring this down. Some of these edges are quite hard, so press a little harder on the tablet. And I feel like I've gone too dark. Yeah, maybe the value's a little, just a little bit too dark. Let's make it a tiny bit bigger. Just gently wrapping in there. Definitely need to do more studies of clouds. Dun, dun, dun. It is quite a meditative subject. I feel like you can just, as though you're staring at clouds, just looking for interesting shapes and forms, seeing what your eyes see. Quite fun. I feel like one can just spend hours noodling around, defining things way more. Quite nail that. But you. That was a good sneeze. Yeah. So this I haven't got right. This comes up a little higher. Let's fix that up. And clouds, it's one of those things where I feel like you're going to be dabbing a lot more. It's not going to be lines. You're making these lots of little strokes, especially when you've got these interesting fluffy types. Yeah, definitely stylized when you have that limited time. It's a fun way to practice, and I'm actually keen to do a few pages like this in my sketchbook. Come in, is to work from basic shapes in that same way where we started talking about horizon lines, and just sketch out horizon lines and then do a cube and decide on your why is Wojtek presenting to 0 people? It's a strange notification. Why do I have that? How weird. What is this? Print screen. What did report a little bug here? Oh, so you are here. I can't. Oh, now I see your icon. It was weird because I couldn't see your icon, and yet here you were trying to present. So anyway, so we can build up these shapes, and then soften them out. But we've started off with a base. And then just build up these shapes in this way to try and get these clouds going in perspective. Could be quite fun. Yeah, stuff like that. Right. But certainly to try and properly paint realistically a set of clouds in an hour that's asking for quite a bit, I think, particularly in a study session. But hey, these are meant to be challenges. Yeah, challenging indeed it is. Certainly for me. So for those who don't know, Wojtek is one of our team members and currently in Thailand. Got to meet him while we visited Thailand last year. It's pretty neat. It's quite funny when you work with people remotely for a decent chunk of time and you finally get to meet in person. Quite nice. It's quite nice. Okay. So we are past the allocated time. I think I'm going to keep noodling around here for a little bit before I move on to other things. Could actually change the tunes a little bit here, maybe. So this shape could be a bit more squarish, I think. And it comes up and it gets a little wispy in here. Here, this comes a little higher. Perhaps, I wonder if on Thursday we should do... Why is this music not playing? Come on, man. Although, let's do the... Ah, never mind, it started already. Let's do a session where we've got almost like you're in the sky and getting a little closer to the clouds, where we can see much better the softness and hardness of certain areas and lose ourselves a little bit in all of that goodness. It can be really difficult to know where to start, trying to study an image like that, or fill up a canvas. Let's see if this is not... Ah, why is the coffee gone? Some shapes here, a bit over here. So if I zoom way out, now we can just look at our shapes again. Here, that's too dark what I've done, so I'm just going to lightly go over it. Okay, and this comes up a bit more. And it's quite square. This is, yeah, if we look at stylizing, then let's go here. We have that. Oh, well, let's do this on a separate layer before I into things. We have that underside. Let's go a bit bigger. See. But we have this sort of shape here too. Sort of fitted square that's attached to this sort of half circle. And then we have that one too. So yeah, zooming out and squinting eyes would be helpful with the stylizing. But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to paint. Paint for realsies. Adina, Everest, how are you guys doing there? How are you finding doing the clouds? I want my pixel pencil. Struggling. That's all right. That's all right. It's not easy, so don't feel bad. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at how everyone's doing here. Oh no, this looks great. Colors are on point. Got some nice combination of hard and soft in there. So no, I think you're doing well. You're doing well. TPO, going for it. Nice, nice. Having some fun there. I like it. No, you guys have done so well. These look very cool. Ooh, I'm seeing like a creature here, but I think I was watching a short documentary earlier about this Japanese yokai that it's got the face of a woman, but sort of like a fish body, and then and like a tail that's got swords almost for it. It was part of an interesting folktale where the appearance of this, she says to the people that saw it that she prophesies like a good harvest coming, but that there'd be illness, disease as well, but to try and keep away the disease, you had to draw and gaze upon an image of her, and that would protect them. And this sort of re-emerged around the time of the pandemic as well, a slightly different iteration of more or less the same thing. The same sort of yokai. So anyway, why I mentioned that was just because I was starting to see that shape in the clouds, because it also it's the face of a woman, body of a fish, but she's also got these horns. So I was seeing a little bit there, and she's got this long black hair. So yeah, typical thing with clouds is trying to figure out, get them to resemble something in your mind. And that's what I was seeing. Just come in more, I think. And I'm actually really keen to draw that, do some sort of visual representation of that story and that yokai. Got quite an interest at the moment in haiku and the different terms in haiku to indicate times in the season. Called kigo. So like referencing the ume, or the Japanese plum tree, typically places the haiku in early spring. And I'm quite interested in that, those little words where it's not just spring, it's early spring, late spring, and there's particular things that identify those periods, and then incorporate that somehow into my own visuals. Should probably wrap this up sometime soon. Just don't have to listen to me rambling about random topics. What type of fiction am I interested in? That's a good question. I don't read much these days, as much as I'd like to. Got the attention span of a goldfish. So yeah, I'm not reading a lot. The last thing that I read that I really got into was The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. So I don't know, what did you call Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments? Almost like a speculative fiction, maybe? I don't know. Where it feels like the world is going that direction, doesn't feel all that impossible. But typically fantasy has been something I've really enjoyed when I was much younger. Lord of the Rings, dealing with all the names, all the darn characters and their lineages. I just started last night, Jitterbug Perfume by Tom Robbins. Why am I brain fart? Yeah, Tom Robbins, not Tim Robbins. Getting all my names mixed up. Yeah, and a little bit of science fiction. Dune, for example, absolutely loved the book. Read that not so long ago. Never read the sequels though. Only ever read the first one. Now, some people are like me about the sequels, which I suppose that's a common thing in some sci-fi and maybe in general. You come up with something really good. It's nice to have an ending, where good or bad doesn't matter, just as long as it's a strange sounds. Like The Matrix, for example, people argue a little bit about the quality of the sequels, or in terms of story. Doesn't have the same weight as the first one. Yeah, arguably. But yeah, I definitely need to change things up and read a bit more. It's interesting, I am noticing it. I'm noticing that I haven't been reading by the struggle sometimes with ideas for painting. Like you need to be getting stuff in from somewhere beyond just the news and the chaos of the world, which I've given too much time to. But we've got to sit there, enjoy spend time, and at a reasonable pace, someone's story unfolding. Because movies are great, but often it's a lot in a very short time. Definitely something to be said of pace with reading versus movies. What sort of stuff are you into, DPO? Fiction-wise or other? For a long time I was just reading like non-fiction stuff. Wasn't really interested in fiction at all. Wait, I've got a book here. Just something unexpected that I found at a secondhand store. Wait. Where's this thing? This book, I don't know if you can see this so well. If it focuses. Leaf by Niggle. It's a book by J.R. Tolkien, which I'd never heard of. Really quite a fun story of this painter who struggles to get anywhere with his painting. There's always something interrupting it. Quite a fun, very short story. I read it on the plane back to Georgia, I think. Or to somewhere. I don't remember. It was read on a plane, though. That's as much as I remember. Okay, I think we're 20 minutes over here. Could have been a better result on my part for the time spent. But like I said in the beginning, these are not meant to be perfect paintings. Something to remind oneself of, setting that intention beforehand so you don't get too frustrated with yourself. Just meant to be a study. Hopefully next time I could give a thank you. I appreciate that. What would I do better next time? Maybe I probably could have started off with a better definition of the shapes, broken those down a little better than I had. I think I wasn't quite clear on some of the changes and placements of things. But yeah, otherwise not a bad thing. We're gaining XP. That's what we're doing. Every drawing, every painting, we get a little more XP. And over time, we'll level up, conquer greater beasts. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Great work by you guys. I'm quite impressed here. This is some very cool stuff. Really like some nice contrast in there. I love the cats in the clouds. Awesome. Such fun. And little Godzilla there. Everest looking great. Yeah, that cloud, this one definitely perplexed me a little bit. When I took the photo, I knew I needed to spend some time with it because I wasn't quite sure. That atmospheric light here in the background is done really nicely. Really nice. And and this was eyebrow, yeah. Oh, very cool, actually. Very cool. Nice, got that bit of that yellow even in the ground. It's got nothing to do with the clouds, but nice to have that in there. yeah, so the basic shape, it seems everyone quite nailed that. That sort of flat underside, half circle, the little bump out here. Cool. Nice work. Anyone who happens to be catching the stream later and has made it this far, hope you had fun. And yeah, Wednesday we will be doing the clubhouse 11 a.m. Central Daylight. That is 6 p.m. Central Europe, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong there. Could be 5 actually. Anyway, and then Thursday we'll do another study. It might even be worth having another crack at some more clouds, something a little different, maybe with a bit of a sunset or sunrise type of light. We've got that nice combination of warm and cool. That's a bit more clear. I think that's a good idea. Alrighty, thanks everyone. We'll chat soon. Feel free to keep painting, of course. Don't let the end of the stream stop you. If I can just find my rollout clip here. Okay, bye.